baby. You've been on the ground, and let's just talk about some of the objectives you had or the targets, and looking at what you have achieved so far. Do you feel like you are well on course?
Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity you've given us. This project is called Development Response to Displacement Impact Project. It is a regional project in the Horn of Africa. It's in Ethiopia, it's in Djibouti, it's in Uganda, in Kenya, and hopefully preparations are underway for it to go to Somalia. The project is looking at mitigating the impacts of forced displacement, specifically forced displacement in terms of drought, in terms of war, in terms of scarcity of resources, which has made people move from one place to another. So in that, the heads of states from the Horn of Africa met under the African Union through the economic bloc of Intergovernmental Agency for Development, IGAD, to see how can they mitigate the forced displacement in terms of assisting the host communities in this region to also maybe make their life better off. So the project specifically in Kenya is focused in ensuring access to basic social services, economic empowerment of the communities, and also in terms of ensuring the natural resources are well managed, because degradation has happened so much, especially on the environment, either through people moving or people clearing trees for search of firewood, in search of building materials, burning for charcoal and the like. So this has degraded the environment. So the project came into that. Specifically for Kenya, we are in 3 areas: Turkana West, because of the Kakuma refugee camp. We are in Garissa, specifically Lagdera, Fafi, and Dadaab, because of the Dadaab refugee camp. And we are in Wajir South. Wajir South comes in because of its proximity to the refugee camp of Dadaab, and many of the refugees normally go to Wajir South in search of firewood, in search of construction materials. And because of that, the project was designed in such a way that it focuses on 4 major areas: infrastructure development, specifically social infrastructure, education, water, health, and some market infrastructure, then environmental management, then livelihood support, and finally overall coordination, information sharing, and knowledge management, because we must be able to capture the best practices for replication for future. In the course of our implementation, we have been able to, we had some targets specifically which we wanted to achieve, and so far as we talk, we have been able to finance and implement 1,896 community projects, cutting across the 4 major sectors: in education, in water, in roads, in health. And we have been able to manage environmental degradation for about 5,000 hectares of land within the 5 sub-counties, and we were supposed to support livelihood groups of 4,000, but as we speak, we stand at a number of 4,977 groups supported, with a minimum of 500,000 per group, and each group normally comprises between 10 to 15 people. This is now talking of directly putting money into the pockets of the communities, specifically to mitigate life, and also to put food on the table by the end of the day. The implementation is basically community-based approach, whereby the communities are the ones who carry the bigger stake in terms of identification of their priorities, in terms of prioritizing what they want to do, in terms of resource management, in terms of budgeting, and also in terms of accountability. So they are the ones who identify who should be doing the work in terms of contracting, also in terms of whistleblowing. If there is any issues which comes along with the resource utilization, the communities through the grievance redress mechanisms report to various institutions of government and also other third-party stakeholders. In the process, we also interface with the county governments in terms of tapping in the technical capacities from the counties. As a project, we don't have our own officers directly who are technically qualified to do supervision, so we rely on the county governments through memorandum of understanding of ensuring that whatever which we do, by the end of the day, the counties must ensure that the projects are sustainable, the projects are operational in terms of posting the relevant staff, and in terms of putting maintenance and operation funds in their annual budgets to ensure the projects go on successfully. So then the other thing which I need to mention very critical in the implementation of the project is that there are very clear structures right away from the national project level to the village level. So at the village level is where they are very critical in terms of the identification, management, and all that, which tells you that, for example, we don't have, our aim was to empower or to capacity build communities to be able to manage the resources and also to be able to implement those by themselves. By then, subsequently, it tells you we have transferred knowledge and skills to the communities to be able to do what they are supposed to do. But in the line of implementation, there are very critical stakeholders. There are many stakeholders. There are very critical stakeholders. So in the line of our implementation, we have been faced with three major challenges. The distances are very wide and far apart. There is poor terrain. So reaching each and every area where we want to mitigate, sometimes becomes very challenging, and sometimes it takes time, and in the process it requires more resources. But more so, communities have what they call the elite capture. They are what social scientists call the gatekeepers. These gatekeepers can be either elected leaders, or they can be just quasi people who think that without their say, communities cannot access services. This has given us a challenge, and especially after every electioneering period, we have seen it re-emerging, whereby elected leaders think they are the ones who should decide for the community. But we have empowered communities to say no, and also to take the bull by its own by accepting that they are the ones who are in charge of this project and implement it to the letter. Even sometimes we have seen demonstrations all the way up to the World Bank demanding that people have interfered with how the project has been decided. Then the other thing which is very crucial, which you need to note, is that these areas have a lot of needs. With the limited resources, we cannot be able to reach each and every need within the communities. And as a result, we have tried to rationalize by thinly spreading across and touching in each one of the villages. We are in 137 villages, which are spread across 34 wards within the 5 sub-counties. In each one of these villages, you will feel the presence of Dr. DIP, either in terms of a construction of a classroom or an health facility, or you can find a water point which has been done. Especially for the water points, they have transformed communities to be able for them to have food on their table through flood irrigation, through what we call generally trying to encourage them to grow drought-resistant crops, especially which depend or rely on rain-fed agriculture. Subsequently also we have tried to provide water to distances of up to between 5 to 15 kilometers by piping from one borehole to the households so that they can have water nearby. This has impacted positively, especially on the girl child and women, by giving them more time to engage in economic activities, and also the girl child to have time to go and attend into school, and this has resulted into what we call decreased dropout and higher retention in schools. Also, with the health facilities which we have been able to construct, we have seen that in some cases we have been able to manage access to services, but also enable to save lives, because now people are not traveling long distances in search of medical services. Then the other thing is that we have been able to open markets by doing market structures where the farmers can be able to put their produce to stay overnight. For example, milk, when they milk in the evening, we have provided cooling facilities where they can be able to store milk overnight so that the following morning they can be able to sell it to the customers. Same case in few areas, we have tried to do some abattoirs where they, once they have slaughtered meat, the one which is not sold out, they can put it in fridges and sell it on subsequent days. Then one of the best lessons I want to talk about, CDD, community driven development approach, has empowered communities to have a say in decision making, in resource sharing, and also in ensuring they harmoniously exist among each other. This has brought the refugees and the host communities to harmoniously coexist and see that they need each other through those interventions, because previously they used to see big vehicles when the refugee come out and they don't give anything, they actually get dust. But now they are able to see, if they have seen a classroom, they have seen hospitals equipped, they have seen water, now they can access. And most of them, they are now saying, let the refugees continue coming and stay with us, because through that they have been able to benefit. Another very important thing is this particular model of community-driven development approach. It has made especially the contractors, business communities, to move from urban areas to rural areas in search of contracts. And since our contracts have zero delay in terms of payments, once you get a contract, you finish your work, community success, and see they give certification from the relevant authorities, it's money which you put directly into your pocket. It has empowered communities so much in such a way that now everywhere you move, people are talking about KDRDIP, people are talking of another phase. This is a model which I think we are propagating, that it should be mainstreamed in government policy documents, so that this is one way of empowering communities through the bottom-up economic transformation agenda.
So it aligns very well with the government's agenda, which it has been